video, I'm going to talk to you about one illusion that we all have on free will. Hey guys, it's Abby and welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk to you about a little bit about the idea of free will. There is some controversy as if this actually is a thing. Do we have free will or do we not? Well, I want to mention one idea that proves that we do not actually have free will, even though it feels like we do. So I want to talk to you about the idea that I call the polarity effect. So what does this mean? It means basically that you're responding to what you don't want by its opposite. And what does that mean? So you see this a lot with teenagers, right? People who are kind of coming into their own and the parents have a way of being, right? It's their basic culture. Well, the child doesn't want to be anything like the parents because it's seen as like, oh man, you don't know anything. You know, I know more. I want to be me. And so they think that they're truly expressing themselves when most of the time all they're expressing is the opposite of what they don't want. So they see their mom and dad as maybe responsible or, you know, it could be a multitude of different things, right? They follow these rules or they don't agree with these ideas, so they're going to agree with the other one. You can talk about politics, right? Say their parents are Republicans, they would be Democrat. Say they believed in this, you know, they believed in, you know, this thing about climate, and they're like automatically going to believe the opposite. So while it feels like, oh, you have this opinion, well, my opinion is different. The only reason the opinion is different is because it's the opposite of what that person is wanting to believe. They don't want to be like that, so they're automatically going to be the opposite. And it's a polarity. That means you're not actually getting to choose what you really want, what you really think. You're only able to do the opposite of what you don't want to associate with. So another one would be, so say you don't want to be seen as mean. You want to be seen as a kind person. So you go out and you basically try not to be mean. You do everything that is the opposite. So, okay, the opposite of what a mean person would do would be nice. Okay, you're gonna go out and you're gonna do X, Y, Z and show that you're a really nice person. Well, you're being controlled by not wanting to be mean. So your only choice is to be its polarity, which is nice, right? You can adjust this in different ways, and I don't think the polarity necessarily of mean is nice, but just for example's sake. So that means you're not actually able to express the things that you want in life. You are being controlled by not wanting to be mean, so you automatically have to be nice. And say there is kindness inside of you, but it doesn't express in the way that maybe would be more obvious. So it's not like you're in the clear of not being mean. So you have to be overly overtly nice so that everyone can see that you're not mean, because you're being controlled by the idea that if you're seen as mean, whatever's gonna happen, and you don't wanna be associated with that. Another thing you could see is if somebody doesn't wanna be seen as lazy, they don't wanna associate with that, they don't want that to be in any way involved with them as a human being. They could potentially be a workaholic because they're going to show you they want to do the opposite of being lazy. So you can start to see that these people in these situations, I'm sure you have been able to come up with a couple, either people you've seen or potentially things that you do the opposite of. And it might feel like, you know, oh, I was doing that because that's what I believe in. It's like, well, if you stop and think about it, do you believe in the opposite, or do you just not know how to respond to not agreeing with that? And rather than being like, oh, that is what you think, that's okay. I think over here, rather than I'm gonna do the opposite because I don't wanna be over there, so I'm gonna run. When you start to realize there's more than just one thing to believe, there's more than just the polarity that exists, and when you start untangling yourself and start discharging from the emotional reaction that you have from whoever believes whatever, and you start understanding why it has such an effect on you, you actually will get to choose. If there is such thing as free will, you'll be much closer to it than currently right now. You're just responding to that which you don't want. You're not actually in the realm or vibration of that which you want. You're only responding and still in a vibrational resonance to that which you don't want. You're still interacting in regards to what you don't want. You know, when you really are able to let go and have free will of something, you don't really care what happens, right? So if you think about a person, right, in a relationship, if you're doing things to make your ex upset, or you're trying to get them jealous, or you're trying to do whatever, you're still acting in a vibrational resonance of that relationship and all those emotional complexities that you've experienced. Now, when you finally do move on from a relationship of any kind, it can be romantic, it could be platonic, whatever. When you really do move on and you're able to freely choose based on what you want, it doesn't matter what the other person does. They could be happy or not happy. You wish them no ill, but however, all the choices you make, you don't at all consider them. You're not trying to do something so they'll be upset, or you're not trying to do something so then they'll see they really missed an opportunity with you, or whatever the case may be. You can do a laundry list of different ideas where it has to do with, are you right now making choices simply because it's what you don't want? It's the opposite. So you're not even really making a choice. You're just pushing that thing away and responding to it and giving it attention. You're giving the attention to it. And by default, you find yourself in the corner of this other side, which doesn't really resonate with you, isn't really a pure expression of yourself. And it might be frustrating if you find yourself in this situation right now. But what I'm asking you to do basically is start looking at things and start seeing, like in the examples earlier, what are the beliefs you have? What are things that really upset you, right? Oh man, I never want to be seen as mean, right? Why? What have I learned in my life that if I was considered mean, what meaning would it have, right? So for me personally, that was a big thing for me. I did not want to be considered mean. So I would oftentimes go out of my way. Sometimes there were things I would do for other people, but it was making me suffer a bit. Maybe it was going out of my way to pay for things. Maybe it was going out of my way to help, to show you that I'm not mean, I am nice. Well, it was me being inauthentic for one. It's not that I'm not nice, but in a natural state, those were not things that I would be doing. I was simply doing it so that I wouldn't be seen as a mean person. So I was being ruled by this idea. I was betraying myself and I was being inauthentic, which made it impossible for people to actually see me and accept me for me, because they didn't actually know who I was or what I was doing. And when you start to see that, oh, I had a belief that if I was mean and people saw me as mean, I wouldn't be loved. And if I didn't have love, I wouldn't be able to get my needs met. I wouldn't be able to have human interaction and relationships that really would nurture me in my soul level. And there'll be these little patterns that you see. Okay, well, I don't ever want to be associated as blank. So I've been living on the other side, because if I was seen as this, XYZ. You can go through your life and you can go through your current situations right now and start to untangle and unwind some of these things so that you can make choices that you want to make. You won't make choices simply based on something else, right? That's a lot of empowerment for one, to realize what you have been doing and where you've really been wrapped up energetically with ideas. Because if you're in a realm of that, you're still resonating in places you don't want to be, places that don't really bring you happiness. And understanding it's the idea of, a lack of a, let's see, how do I, having a lack of lack is not abundance. Abundance is abundance. So thinking about having less lack, even though that could be a descriptor, somebody who's abundant doesn't have lack. Somebody who's abundant wouldn't even think about lack. It would just be an existence around it. So if the person who really wants to be abundant is thinking about having less lack, you are still in the vibrational resonance of lack. And you're not at all in abundance. They don't coexist. This is absent of lack. But thinking of less lack is not an abundance. So start seeing where these are permeating in your life and controlling you and and basically inhibiting you to do the things that really bring you joy and that you like and that you love, and where you could be more free to express yourself in a true, authentic way so that others can see you and love you and accept you and really celebrate who you are, not based on what you don't want. Letting that go, letting that no longer serve you and be a part of your experience on this earth as you can move closer to where that which you want to experience in this world. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and the bell notification will let you know as soon as I release my next video, which is every single day, and I'll see you on the next one.